Alright, so we're going to try something completely new today. Something that I've been very excited to try out. I'm going to show you guys my fiction writing process. Straight up, exactly how it is. No fluff, no presentations, no diagrams, just me doing it for an hour straight or however long it takes me. I am going to edit this, sorry, because you don't want to see, if you're watching a video, you probably don't want to see like big periods of me saying nothing or doing nothing, which is what this is going to consist of. But all the juicy bits, all the bits that you can actually learn from, all that stuff's going to be in the video, okay? This is going to be about an hour of me, or if this is a shorter chapter, I don't actually know. And we'll get into that later. But if it turns out to be a shorter chapter, then it might be the entire chapter, or it might be just an hour of me writing a chapter. We'll find out. We'll see how everything works. But, yeah, so I guess to introduce you, if you don't know what we're writing right here, this is Boys and Girls Part 2. So if you actually go on my website for fiction writing, jbr.works, that's literally the URL, it's the JBR letters and then dot and then works. You can see in stories, there is a page, or actually I've been doing a lot of different stuff now, but if you go into projects, you'll see Boys and Girls Part 1. And then, of course, there's 10 free chapters of Boys and Girls Part 1, but all the chapters of Part 2 are currently free. That seems kind of weird, but the way it works is that when I'm first writing something, I'm trying to release on a weekly basis, and I'm also trying to make it so that it's always the first draft that gets released onto the website, right? So these are first drafts of each chapter from Part 2, and they're completely free. When I compile these all into a book and I edit them down, those edited copies are no longer going to be free. And of the first drafts, well, actually what's probably going to happen is, I should clarify, I'm going to edit everything. I'm going to delete the first drafts. I'm going to replace it with the first 10 book drafts, production drafts. And so it'll be similar to how it is on Part 1 now, where it's the first 10 chapters, right? So where we left off, so this is all the chapters that's already been written with my little editing notes I'll look at later, but I didn't really look at when I did the first drafts. So these are all the things that's already been released, of course. This is in the Google Doc that will become the book. So this is where I'm going to be writing everything from, which is why it's all, they're not separated to the different posts or all together into the one blog. But I'm just going to get into it. I'm going to treat this kind of like the blog post video, which you might have seen last week or however I end up scheduling these. I'm actually recording them back to back, so it's in like the same hour or so. But we're gonna start with this new chapter. This is a chapter dedicated entirely to Sadja. The intro story to Sadja. So as you guys have probably noticed, if you've been reading the story, in Part 1 we did flashback introductions for, I think we actually only did a flashback introduction for Kat. There was one where it was Lucas, Cole, and Kat all together. That was for the introduction to the treehouse, which is going to be more important in Part 2. But Boys Club, the very first chapter of Part 2, is how Lucas and Cole met. But you actually, in Part 1, already saw how Kat, Cole, and Lucas met. And now we're going down the friends list, right? So Rose first, and it's in order of how they met, right? So Rose then gets connected to Kat, Cole, Lucas. Aaron, a few chapters later, gets connected to those guys, and now we're on Sadja. And I try and, the way I schedule these flashback chapters is, I try and schedule them where it's kind of relevant. So if we have a really poignant Rose chapter, the very next thing, or it ends in a thing that really capitalizes on Rose, we move into the Rose flashback right from there. Same with Aaron, and same with Sadja here, because if you read the most recent post, it ends with a bit between Kat and Sadja. Right, so that's where we're starting here. I'm going to try not to scroll down because everything below this is the future chapters, which would be spoilers. Everything above that is fine because it's stuff that's already been released, but everything below that is spoilers. So there might be some light censoring, and that's just to avoid like future spoilers or stuff. Or if I tab into another window and I have private things there that are unrelated to all this, then I might censor some of that stuff out. But for the most part, I'm going to try and keep this the writing process all clear, exactly how it is. So let's get to writing. I'm done with the introduction. Let's go. So the first thing I noticed here is that I wrote very little production notes for myself for this chapter. This is it. This is all I get. Kat and Sadja meet in freshman year choir. So the way my production notes usually work, and this is one thing where unfortunately because of spoilers I'm not going to be able to show you it, but most chapters will go line by line, scene by scene as to exactly what I want in that chapter. Those are production notes. I write that during the planning stage, and it really helps me when I'm writing. Unfortunately for this one, I didn't write much, which means I didn't really have a clear idea of how I wanted this to go, and I probably wanted to keep it short. Because I didn't have a particular story for how Sadja was to join into the party, unlike the others who have more characteristic stories. So I want to think about how Sadja might meet Kat. I get this idea that they meet in freshman year of choir, right? Which makes sense because they're choir buddies. So I could start with the classic story of new girl is the new girl is shy, doesn't know what to do, and she meets someone with more experience that helps her. There's one problem with that. So we already did that with Sasha, and Sasha is a minor character, but Sasha already has that experience with Kat as this major figure. Now, what's interesting is that, of course, Kat and Sadja are in the same year, whereas with Kat and Sasha, I realize how similar their names were until I'm saying this. Kat and Sasha, Kat has seniority, right? Literally, because she's a senior, and I believe Sasha's a sophomore or junior. So I don't want to write the exact same story, but there have been bits that I know I've written about earlier in the story of Kat and Sadja talking, and Sadja being concerned, not necessarily concerned, but there's that scene where they're having the sleepover at Kat's house, and actually, was that scene? Oh, fuck, now I don't even know. Where Sadja is like, oh, you're gonna do the lead singer? I would never do the lead singer. And Kat's like, well, you know, it's how things go. Because she's like the head of she's like the student head of the women's choir now. So I want to add to that dynamic specifically, and I think that's a little bit more complicated than just shyness, right? That's like she wants to just stay out of the limelight, because Satcha's not a shy person, as you recall from previous chapters. She's not a shy person. She's not like Sasha. But she definitely has some issues with comparing herself to others, as we see with Magyar. Maybe adding to that, I don't know. Okay, we need to get to writing. We haven't written anything yet. We should probably just start writing. Let's fill the vibe. Fuck it. Let's fill out the vibe. Let's do it that way. I wrote a single sentence today so far. The deadline is Saturday. It is Wednesday. Wednesday afternoon. I need to write this shit. Now, fortunately, I was able to write the blog post all in one go. Let's see if I do a little bit. Let's see if I do the same or worse here. Tightening in her chest. Why is she feeling a tightening in her chest? She's auditioning, right? You have to audition for a choir, right? Fuck it. We'll say they have to audition for this choir because it's like really good or something. I don't know. They can worry about the details of that later. So she's auditioning, but like, from the chair in which she sat, she looked down at her feet, compulsively hitting her toes to get her attention. So, oh, this is it. No, I hit the gold mine on this. Cha-ching! I know exactly how we're going to write this. Okay, I need to get to... I'm pretty sure this is completely unrelated, but I feel like these watches will give you cancer. Because it always has this green light hitting directly into your wrist. Don't you think that'll cause skin cancer if you wear it too much? And it, like, itches? I want skin cancer. I'm going to take this off. But anyway, I know exactly how we're going to write this. So how it's going to work, Sadja sitting in chair, preparing for audition, really nervous. It's gonna be like the Kendrick Lamar, see you at the top. You know what I'm saying? Any fans of, what's his fucking name? I'm a fake fan. The rap react guy. He always talks about that story about how he did a set with Kendrick Lamar, and Kendrick Lamar was like, "See you at the top." We're gonna replay that with Sadja and Kat, okay? It's very important to know when you're writing fiction, it all derives from your own personal experiences. Maybe not necessarily personal experiences that happened to you, but personal experiences what you witnessed. So watching, and this is a serious, I'm trying to move this into a, because this is like serious actual advice I'm giving you right now. Whether you see like YouTube videos, whether you see movies, whether you see something happening in the street, all of these are learned experiences, to use the words of the blog post we just wrote. Learned experiences that you can then later apply to actual works of fiction, right? Kendrick Lamar, see you at the top. This is how it's gonna work. Okay. So Sadja sitting in the chair, preparing for the audition, really nervous. Kat sitting next to her, strikes up conversation, tries to make her feel better, and Sadja lets out a line about her insecurity where she's like, probably not gonna make it anyway because I'm just not that good. Something like that. Probably more tastefully, more subtle than that. But that's like the vibe she gives. She will not say, "I'll see you at the top," because that doesn't make any fucking sense in the context of a girls' high school choir. She's not literally going to say that. They'll kill it as a duo. Could they do a duo? No, they didn't have any preparation. No, they wouldn't have to prepare the same song. Okay, Kat gives her a pep talk. Choir person, generic. Tells Sadja it's her turn. Kat smiles. Kat smiles at her and says she'll see her on the roster. No, I don't want to have anything that's like actually connected to that. But I want it to have the same vibe, right? Of like the, hit you on the shoulder. Hey, see you at the top. And then she's like, oh, okay. And then she does it. She has the confidence to do it and get into the choir. And then that's how they become friends, right? Because they do see each other again. But how do I write that tastefully? How do I write that in a way that makes sense and isn't corny? Because corniness is the death knell of any fiction writing. You never want to be corny, at least as much as you can avoid it. Sometimes corniness is unavoidable, but you want to avoid corny as much as humanly possible. What if she's like, you know what, how about this? If you make it, we'll blank. No, because then I would have had to tie that into something that they did later. I don't want to say break a leg either, because that's too generic. Like, it needs to be it's the thing that she says that makes them becomes friends. It has to be like a really important, like she says it from the heart. I'm really stuck on this, but this is like the last thing, because we're just gonna end the scene right as she closes the door. It's a very short scene. How like I probably envisioned it. In fact, let me write that. So you might notice I use these. This is just a tick that I have. If I leave off on a point that I didn't finish, I do the little, I don't even know what these are called. Brackets? Are these brackets? I thought the other ones were brackets. I just leave these here so that I know that I need to continue my thought. Sadja smiles back. Goes into the room and closes the door, and of course we know how that all ends because they're in choir together. So we don't need more after that. Shall see her in practice? Shall see her in rehearsal! Oh, this is how you craft peak fiction. She'll see her in rehearsal. It's like word association. It's like playing Connections. You ever play New York Times Connections? That's what writing is like. It's like playing and like 90% of the time it's fucking god awful because you wasted 4 of your tries on like the first word, and it turns out that was the purple one. You were never going to get that. And then sometimes you get purple first. What can I say? Sometimes you get purple first. Yeah, see you in rehearsal is the see you at the top of this scenario, and I think it's something that would be cute enough that it would. Okay, let's get back to writing though. So we have this all planned out, but now we have to actually write the damn thing. Okay, that's the hard part. Actually, that's not the hard part. Once you have an idea of where you are in the writing process, everything gets a lot smoother. We need to write this. We have 1.5 sentences. We need to write this. Okay. Sorry, I'm not speaking because I want to get the flow. I'm trying to write dialogue that's natural. This is your first time at an audition? That's what they would say. I don't need it to be perfectly grammatical if it's a sentence. I wish if I put something in quotation marks, it gets rid of all the blue line stuff. Okay, let me explain this part. But hold up. She looked up to see another girl around her age with beautiful sea blue eyes. I keep changing the way I describe Kat's eyes, which is important because I don't want to repeat the same thing over and over again. But shading is weird, right? Because they're kind of light blue. If you see the artwork of it, which is AI generated. I know we're working on getting rid of it. We're working on getting rid of all the AI generated stuff. I can't draw. I don't have money to pay artists. I'm working on it. It's going to be a separate, different video, okay? It's going to be a separate thing. I'm focused on writing right now. Beautiful sea blue eyes. I get the feeling that they're a lighter blue shade is what I would like of them. They're lighter blue. And golden blonde hair wrapped around into a ponytail. So the reason that I'm describing a cat and these very like beautiful sea blue eyes, golden hair, is because that's the way in which Sadja sees Cat. Because remember, Sadja has an insecurity. She thinks that all these girls look so much better than she does, right? So that's the reason why in her eyes she sees Sadja like this, right? So this isn't the narrator saying that Cat has beautiful sea blue eyes and golden blonde hair. This is Sadja's perception of Cat as Sadja sees her. So the one thing I don't like about this, but unfortunately sometimes in writing there's not things that you can really fix easily, and I think we're just gonna have to ship it like this. This is not too different from Rose. Because remember, Rose got bullied. Rose was back in middle school. Rose got bullied. Cat was sitting there, or I think Cat came to her and started talking to her and giving her a pep talk. It's all very similar, right? Slightly different scenario, but pretty similar. And sometimes I worry, are readers going to catch on to something like that that's kind of just the same intro story twice? Or do they not care? And you just gotta have to take that risk sometimes of like, fuck it, I'm not gonna write an entirely different origin story just to make sure this thing is perfect. Sometimes good enough is good enough. Especially since these chapters are not, they're important to the story, but they're more like touch pieces, right? They're more like emotional, like sweeps of like, oh, we just had the really, Rose was really out of character in that last scene. Oh, and now immediately we're going into a chapter about Rose's flashback and how she got here. I'm so bad, by the way, of like dialogue. She said, she responded, she spoke. Just keep flipping between all those, right? Just like get them on rotation. She spoke, she replied, she said in response. Blah, blah, spoke, said. Just keep them going. I don't give a shit. I don't care what verbiage I need. All I need is the dialogue there, but sometimes, to make it flow nice, you don't want dialogue immediately afterwards, right? Because it makes it a little bit awkward. So I want to space it out here. So it's her response. Oh, no, like that's a response. But then give me some time, or give the audience some time, and then her next segment right there. We don't want that to all be one thing. I also do bad with smiling. I say she smiled a lot as a way of detecting a person trying to be comforting or happy or whatever, but really I should be separating those emotions. I shouldn't be describing all those as smiled. In fact, I could even do something as simple as describing what the smile is with an adjective. So, Kat says here in response, I almost spilled that coffee everywhere. Kat says in response, it's really not that bad. I have some friends on the roster. They say it's mostly for show. This should give Sadja a little bit of anxiety because Sadja doesn't know anyone on the roster, right? So even though Kat is trying to be comforting here, it actually kind of scares Sadja. It kind of backfires on her a little bit because she's like, oh God, this girl knows ladies. She has connections. I don't have any connections. So how do I write that in a way that's subtle? That's the question. And this checks out, right? Because otherwise, they would have seen each other, right? Aaron was also new. I think Aaron's also freshman year. Aaron was also new, right? From a different school district. We'll just say it plain. With a little unease, not uneasiness. Sorry, I just got that. And then Kat, because Kat's good at socializing, she might have caught this, especially since. In a world with no secrets, Kat makes another foible with Sadja where she says the wrong thing, but in that case, she doesn't catch it. From what I recall, right? In that last chapter that I wrote, like, literally not that long ago, doesn't Kat say something? Or, Sadja, Kat catches that something's wrong with Sadja, but she gets what it is wrong. She doesn't realize that it's about the Isaac thing. She thinks it's about the Cole thing because that's just what Sadja tells her. But she doesn't think that there's anything deeper than that. So it's the comparison of the time when they first met, where she got it right, versus the time that now they're so close friends, but now she's getting it wrong, right? That those social cues where they should be getting better, they're in fact getting more difficult because of the situation that they've found themselves in. I need to introduce their names before because for the flashbacks, since we don't know that Sadja and Kat yet, we can guess. But since it's an introductory flashback, we want to phrase it as if it's an introduction. But I should say their names. And this is a great time to do it because she needs to break the ice. I don't like how I'm saying girl so often, but that's just a byproduct of I don't have names for them yet. So let me get the names. And of course, Kat gets Sadja's name wrong because Sadja's Iranian, and Kat is a basic white bitch. My name's Kat Wilkins. What's yours? It's Sadja. I like to add a lot of uhs and ums if the character's nervous, which sometimes backfires, I think, for sure. But a lot of that I just fix in post on second edit. So I'm not really worried about that. When you have to read it again, you usually catch that stuff. So what does Kat mistakenly think it is? Sandra. Sandra. Oh, that's so bad, but she would. Another freshman came out who didn't seem to have a good experience. Yeah, they would both. Kat doesn't care. Sadja cares. Because Sadja sees that sort of stuff and she's like, oh God, I'm screwed too. Because she's nervous. But Kat isn't, because Kat has the confidence. If we want to make a connection, it would be like, to take this into the second channel, Astucario, where we play video games on YouTube. It's a nice little shill there. We're currently playing through Persona 4 Golden. It's kind of like what I'm feeling here is, at least from what we see it right now, the relationship between Chie and Yukiko, right? Because Chie is this very boisterous, very charismatic person. Yukiko is very much soft-spoken. And in Yukiko's mind, Yukiko sees Chie as this very strong, very charismatic, very, powerful person, whereas Chie, in her mind, thinks that Yukiko is actually the smarter one, the more beautiful one. And that's sort of the same, not quite the same, but sort of the same dynamic that Kat and Sadja have. Where Sadja would be Yukiko and Kat would be Chie, but of course they're not. It's not exactly the same, so you don't have to think about that same way, because Sadja is more, still more boisterous, more talkative than Yukiko, and Kat isn't as much of a tomboy as Chie is. But it's a similar sort of idea that both of them have insecurities about the other person, and they don't let that stuff on. They don't tell each other about it, which causes consternation. Oh, I said concern twice. Oh, fuck. I almost didn't catch that. No, you can't do that. That's number one rule in writing. Number one rule. Never write the same word twice in 2 back-to-back sentences. I see this issue with so many people. You cannot do it. It sounds so corny and so bad, which means we need something else besides concern. Watch and anxiety. That's the easy one. Watch her leave in anxiety. Watch her leave with anxiety. Sorry, not in anxiety. Sadja. That's how you phonetically say it. But she still has no idea how to spell it. And she probably won't for another 2 years. You know what? I might cut the line about insecurity, because you're already kind of getting the vibe here. I don't think I need it. I think we want to wrap it up. I'm seeing the big red bars, you know, that says wrap it up, repeating across the screen. I'm seeing it. It's gonna be a short chapter, 1 page, right? Maybe even less. Damn, sometimes they're short. Only write however much it takes for you to get your point across. That's my number 1 advice. Like I said, deadline. Probably 2 pages. Some of them are that short, but Valentine's Day was like 25 pages, so it evens out. It evens out over time. Oh god, I almost spilled it again. Jesus. Sadja. No, how do I write Sadja? Sadja. When Anita writes it on the paper in part 1, she writes Sajja, Sadja, which makes sense. Sadja. Maybe like Saj. Yeah, that makes more sense. Because Saj is the Twitch emote. So it's already established, and I'm pretty sure it's Saj, not Saj. Oh, she's like, oh, peak fiction moment. She's like, okay, well, let me tell you as well, Sadja. And she says it says it like the incorrect version, because that's what she still thinks. She doesn't know how to spell it. Well, Sadja, let me tell you a story. A long time ago, when I was a kid, I thought I didn't have any confidence, blah, 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 blah. She tells her the story of how she met Lucas and Cole, in a way, of how she met all those friends, and she became more confident. Something like that. We'll workshop it. We'll workshop it as we write, but something like that, I think, would be really clever. Harkening back to Kat's story, because, of course, Kat used to be in the same scenario. All these people used to be in the same scenario. Which, I guess now that I think about it, am I not just writing the same exact flashback chapter for every single person? Is Boys Club not Cole giving sort of a charismatic pep talk to Lucas? I guess Aaron's is kind of weird. Aaron's is like that. Aaron came in as the big man on campus, and then they just became friends. So who knows? I'll figure it out. Once again, I don't know if it's something that people will really catch on, especially since these chapters are so far between each other. There's like 4 or 5 chapters in between each flashback sequence. So I don't know if people are really going to ever catch on to that, besides me, but I don't know. Well, now that I'm saying it out loud, people will catch on. But there's a window. No, a light. Looked up to a light, but that would hurt her eyes. Why would she look up to a light? Oh, there's a board that says stuff. What do you call that? Like, is it a corkscrew board where you like pin little flyers onto it? A flyer board. I'll just call it a flyer board. People know exactly what I'm talking about. Flyer board adjacent across from where to use the correct directional words. You're gonna say I'm misspelling flyer? I have never in my entire life, seen flyer spelled with an I. I have no clue what they're talking about. Add this to my personal dictionary. That's a huge L in regards to the spell check. Flyer has always been spelled with a Y, 100%. I've never seen it spelled with an I before. Maybe they're thinking of like flyer, like a person who flies like planes or something. I don't know. I don't even think that's a word. Isn't it just pilot? So how does she tell this story? This is going to be an important little segment. It's probably going to be the most important part of this mini chapter. Oh, let's think about it. Oh, I have a killer way to end this. This little bar here. That bars! That's right, we're talking bars! She's spitting bars right now. Hold on, I have an idea. Oh, I already forgot what it was. Fuck. I already forgot. Never mind, I wrote 1 sentence, I forgot what I wanted to do. Oh, no, I remembered again. Okay, I remembered again. Make it vague for now. I'll come back. You'll see. When I write it, you'll be like, ooh, that's peak. And I'll be like, yeah, it was. Okay, give me a second. We'll say that Kat catches on to the fact that she's new, because it's very easy for her, right? Because she's never seen she didn't see this girl in middle school, And when she said that she knew she had friends on the roster, she was uneasy. So she knows through those context clues that Sadja is new, which is important for this next sentence that she's going to say. Okay, kind of filler motivational speech, but that's okay. Watch this last line. First sentence where it says Kat and Sadja, same time, right? I think so. Hold on, this is an important bar, so I have to think about this. The first time I write it, it's not gonna be good. Ignore it. We're gonna have to sketch it out a little bit. But I have to put it down on paper and then recode it. Well, Sadja looks up to the flyer board. A long time ago, I was always kicking myself, thinking I wasn't good enough for the things I wanted to do. To be honest, I still think that way sometimes. But along the way, I met people who were there to cheer me on, to make me feel like I could do stuff I never dreamed of doing. And it made me better. Turns back towards Sadja. So how about we cheer each other on to be better, okay? I don't know if I like the sense of that. That is such slice of life anime. Girls, kanbate. That's what that is, right? Oh, but it's Kino, though. The Japanese figured this out. But the sentence structure here, let me think about it. Because like I said, this is an important bar. It's very important we don't make this corny. We have to think about what's the best way of writing this sentence? Cheers. No, because we're breaking the 2-sentence rule. Remember what I said earlier? You can't say the same thing twice. I say better and better here. Can't do it. Gotta rewrite it. I almost feel like, so how about we be each other's cheerleader? The only problem is that cheerleader has a weird context in high school because that's an actual official quote-unquote occupation. Whereas in this context, it's more generic. So we have to think about this one. So if you need someone to cheer you on, we can cheer on each other. How about that? Let me reread it from the top. A long time ago, I was always kicking myself, thinking I wasn't good enough for the things I wanted to do. To be honest, I still think that way sometimes. But along the way, I met people who were there to cheer me on. To make me think now we might have the problem with cheer. But along the way, I met people who were there to cheer me on, to make me feel like I could do stuff I never dreamed of doing. And it made me better. Not feel better. It made me better. So if you need someone to cheer you on, how about we cheer on each other? Okay, well, wait, what did I say? So if you need someone to cheer you on, we can cheer on each other. How about that? Ooh, actually, when I say that out loud, that actually sounds better. How about we cheer? No, I like the other one. Never mind, I take it back. Ganbate! So classic. Listen, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And of course, she still needs to give her the "see you at the top" slogan. We might finish this. How long's it been? It's only been an hour. Ooh, damn. Okay, now I have to get Sadja's reaction, but I can't say like comfort it or anything because I already said that earlier. So it's gonna be a little bit harder to do. Ooh, what if she notices she stopped kicking her toes? Oh, peek! Oh, but how do I write that? Because I have to say something first, and then I have to say she looked down and she noticed she was not hitting her toes anymore. Ooh, she says, yeah, let's do it. And then she looks down and she realizes that she's not hitting her toes anymore. The person comes in, she says, see you at the top, etc., etc. And it's a hook, line, and sinker. Okay, gotcha. Can I just say Sadja smiled? Please, can I use the cheap one? Sadja couldn't help but smile. Ooh, switching it up, kind of, huh? This is very slightly switching it up. Not really. Sadja couldn't help but smile at the girl's attempt at a... But she thinks it's an attempt. She sees through it, but she's also like, that's kind of cute. Sadja couldn't help but smile at the girl's attempt at a pet talk. She also couldn't help but believe that there was... Okay. Now this is not the same as the corny repeating the 2-word thing, because what I'm about to do here is I'm about to do like a rhetorical repetition. Let me write the sentence first, so it makes more sense what I'm saying. She also couldn't help but believe there was some truth to what she was saying. So if you're just repeating a random word in a sentence, it looks cringe because it looks like you didn't do it on purpose. But if the focal point of the sentence is repeating, she couldn't help but blank. She also couldn't help but blank. That's more of a rhetorical device, right? There's an official name for it. I don't know what it is, but it makes more sense because it feels like it's purposeful. And that's why it doesn't come across as cringe. I want her to be a little bit more excited than somebody who was just totally shy would be. Because I want to make sure that we know that Sadja is not a shy person. She's just an insecure and nervous person, but she's not a shy person. All right, let's do it. Sadja suddenly let out with a burst of enthusiasm, of whispered enthusiasm, because they're still, like, they're in a group of people waiting on an audition. Sudden change of character made Kat let out a short giggle. So you'll notice there's a lot of subtle grammar, verb, vocab stuff that I try and throw into the main theme of this book, which, of course, the main theme, you can probably guess by the title of it, Boys and Girls. It's about gender dynamics, right? One of the smaller, tinier little things that some people have probably noticed is when I use laugh, there's laugh, which is just general, and is used for everyone. But if I say chuckle, it's only ever the boys. And if I say giggle, it's only ever the girls. Because giggle and chuckle tend to be gender-ified words. They're gendered words. Probably not on purpose, but that's as society and history and English word uses has progressed. You usually describe a girl as giggling and a boy as chuckling. And I kind of poke at that in the way that when I say chuckle, I can only exclusively use it for boys. And if I say giggle, I can only exclusively use it for girls. It's just a way to get across that theming in a more subliminal way. Except if I ever did that on accident where I had a girl chuckle or a boy giggle, I doubt I would have a boy giggle. But if I had a girl chuckle, it was on accident and not on purpose. And I need to fix that. Because I need to keep this shit. And laugh is like, because like sometimes you gotta like have a synonym in case like two people laugh one after another. You can't say that they both laughed. You have to say one person chuckled and one person laughed, or one person giggled and one person laughed. So that's why I gotta have a general word in there. But I mean, that makes sense because laugh is like the sort of textbook definition boring word, and then from that springs two different gendered words that describe it in a slightly like a boba kiki. Is that what it is? Boba kiki sort of way, where boba you see is more masculine and kiki is more feminine, sharper, more feminine, whiter, more masculine. Just pretend like what I'm saying makes sense, and you'll get an A+ on the test. Coming up, the sun. Oh no, I said sun twice. No, Sadja suddenly lit up with a burst of enthusiasm. I can just get rid of that. The change of character made Kat let out a short giggle. Looked back down at her feet and noticed. Gonna wrap this one up. Hit her toes together. Wait, what? Oh, hit her toes together versus banged against each other. That sounds different enough that I'm not worried about the similarities. Okay, good. A lot of writing is just synonyms. It's just figuring out synonyms for stuff. Either synonyms for sentences or literal synonyms for words. Oh, notice they no longer banged against each other. A few moments later, the door once again opened. Sadja, you? A young... I want to describe her a little bit, so it seems like it's a real person. Young woman with curly black hair let out. She's like opening the door, like, Sadja, you? Right? Or like, Sadja, like she opened the door. You know how people open doors. You've been to a fucking doctor's office before, man. You know what I'm trying to describe. Let out from the open door, Except I said the door once again opened. That's probably not going to work. A few moments later, the door once again opened. Sadja Ayub, a young woman with curly back hair, let out from beyond the door. Well, that sounds like the door's not. From the door's entrance. Feeling one last wave of nervousness hit her, stood up. She felt a force softly hit her hand. She turned to see Kat looking back up at her. I'll see you at rehearsal. Nailed it. That's the killer line there. Should I say Kat winks She says, "I'll see you at rehearsal," and she winks. Or does that sound disingenuous? No. The two of them are playful with each other, and I feel like it makes sense that they're playful even from the beginning because they have the same sense of humor. A cat winks at her. That's cute. I think that's cute. Let's do it. Oh, I'll use my generic word. Cat spoke. Oh, I can't say at her because I ended the last sentence. Cat said one last time. Well, she didn't say before. Spoke one last time. She spoke one last time. So, like, of her speaking, this is the last time she was speaking. No, it still sounds like she's repeating a word that she's already said, which she hasn't. Said as one last comment. Spoke as one last comment. Said as one last comment. No, that's too long. I want this to finish. I don't want it to say spoke as one last word of encouragement because all of a sudden the description of the sentence is longer than the dialogue itself, where the dialogue is the most important thing. I still think it's a little weird how quick Sadja and Kat are becoming friends, but this isn't necessarily now they're friends. This is how they met and got put on the directional line of becoming friends. Becoming best friends, because the two of them are best friends. Well, best female friends, right? Did I just say Cat winked? I think that's cute, and you understand what I'm saying. I'll see you at rehearsal. Cat winked. So she's saying it, but then she winks at her. You get what I'm saying, and that's a good, like, that's how long I want that line to be. Sadja winked back. Oh, she winks back, and then she walks out of the room. Oh! That's cute. That is really cute. We should end it like that. Down to this page. Because remember, Sadja's got some spunk. We gotta make sure people know Sadja has spunk. She's not like a complete, like, nervous, like, shy, introverted person. Unlike, say, Lucas, when Lucas first meets Cole, and these two are diametrically opposed. Cole is super extroverted. Lucas is very introverted. These two are kind of at the same level. It's just that, like I've said so many times, Sadja has the insecurities. Kat does not have them. That's the only real difference between the two. So, like I said, this isn't a perfect chapter. It's very short, but I think in this chapter, unlike something that's very important, like Lullaby or Valentine's Day, this is more of a chapter that's just sort of trying to get a point, that's trying to transition us from one end to another. It's more similar to something like A World with No Secrets, the last chapter, which was kind of, I was going to say kind of mid, but that's a bad way to describe my own work. There wasn't too much going on. It was very transitional. Unlikely Alliance was another chapter that was very transitional. This chapter is very transitional. And I don't know what's happening next. I'm not going to look up what's happening next, but I have a feeling it's going to be a more powerful chapter. You know what? Let me check, because I'm recording this. I'm not streaming it. It is a pretty powerful chapter coming up. And I don't know if I'm going to do the same process. I might just see how easy this one was to edit and do it. I might also I might actually release this one before I do the blog post one, because I feel like more interesting conversations happen during this one, and I also think that this is probably more important to me, and it's more the thing I was really excited to do. So I might actually work on editing this video first, and then later doing the other one. But we'll see how it all happens. We'll see how it all skirts out. I'm so glad I finished this chapter. It's a very, very short chapter, 1.5 pages. But like I said, all I have to do is get the point across, right? In writing, that's all you need to do is get the point across. Sometimes you have mega big chapters. Like, remember, how long is this so far? Give me the 88 pages. It's 88 pages so far. I think Boys and Girls Part 1 altogether was 365 pages. So it evens out. Some chapters are just really short. Some chapters are really, really long. It depends on how it goes. Transitionary chapters tend to be really short. One last thing here. I'm going to show you how I put these posts over into the website. So I always schedule them for Saturday. I'm gonna go, this is the wrong ass website. And like I said, I'll probably cut it down because there's a lot of moments of silence where I'm just thinking. I just want you guys to know it took me 1 hour and 15 minutes to write that. So the video you're watching is going to be a lot shorter. Just imagine that all the stuff that was cut out was me thinking in silence. Or taking a break, walking around. That's what you missed. And it was me trying to figure out what the next line was, right? There's a lot of problem solving to writing. That's something that I didn't really realize until I did all this. But, so I'm going to copy and paste this post so I don't have to worry about redoing the same tags and categories and everything, which is something I don't have to worry about for fiction writing, but for blog posts, where every blog post is different, I always have to do the categories manually. This one's also a little bit more complicated because it's tied into chapters, so I have to do some linking between chapters. World with No Secrets, this one is Sadja. Maybe I should do a more intense chapter. The next chapter is pretty intense. It would be fun to do a real fucked up chapter. Because Lord knows there's some real fucked up chapters in this book, huh? Oh, you've written it. Or sorry, I have written it. You've read it, probably. You've read this one, because I wrote it in front of you. Very short. But I'm okay with it. So the next chapter should still be blank. I do need to say that the previous chapter was A World Without Secrets. So let me link that. Pretty cool title for something that nothing really happens in. All the posting and everything should be correct. I just need to schedule it. It's going to come out Saturday, 3 p.m., just like the blog posts. And I think we're ready. 3 minutes read time. You're welcome. I think the last one was 11 minutes. And that was the transitionary chapter, like I said. And then Valentine's Day before that was like 30 minutes or something. So like I said, it all evens out. Except it's not going to give me the link. For some reason, it doesn't populate the page like how it does on my other website. I also can't edit it from here. I have to edit in WordPress, which is also really annoying. And it's on the wrong fucking website. Of course it is. It's actually easier to change the URL than to like actually go back and change all that stuff. Okay, let me see. So you still have the right link, right? Should be Valentine's Day. Perfect. And then for you, your next chapter is now going to be linking to this so that when it goes live on Saturday, people will be able to read it. The next one just fine. So yeah, I mean, if you do want to read part 1, or if you want to read part 2, but you really should start with part 1. So I stand by what I said. Read part 1 first, because it's 360 pages. And you're going to be very, very confused if you start. Like I said, for part 1, the first 10 chapters are all free. And then you have to pay for the rest of it. But I think there's a site discount. I think also if you get to the very end, isn't there another discount that's on top of that? Yeah, 50% off part 1. And they combine, so it's 60% total. If you want to get part 1 after that, and then you can start reading part 2 is what I would recommend. But anyway, that's that. Look into how I write fiction stuff as Boys and Girls Part 2, which is the series I'm currently working on. And like I said, I plan on doing more of these like recordings of me doing different things in my life, as because I feel like it's cool to like talk about it and write stuff down. It's just not great for live streaming because then I have to worry about like censoring and stuff. But now I just have to worry about if I need to censor anything or if I need to cut down on time, I can just do it in post. I don't have to worry about doing it live. I'm going to put back on my cancer wristwatch so I know how many steps I'm getting in. And I'll see you in the next one.